Project Blue Book, Tuesday at 10 on History.
How far out can you get? That's the big question in television today, and CBS has the big answer. Its fabulous new series, Lost in Space.
In 1965, the CBS network announced the debut of what would become television's first primetime science fiction series.
Wouldn't Dad like to use this gadget to beat that throughway traffic?
Set in the far future of 1997, Lost in Space told the story of a family of space colonists who become marooned on an alien world. It underscored America's growing acceptance that mankind's future was not here on Earth, but out in the vast reaches of the galaxy. This trend continued when the following year, NBC premiered Star Trek, the epic saga of a futuristic starship whose crew is charged with exploring the galaxy, seeking out new life and new civilizations, and going where no man or woman had ever gone before. Interestingly, both programs would appear in America's living rooms years before mankind would even step foot on the moon.
It is amazing that today we are living in times where only 40, 50 years ago, people were fantasizing about the future. And here we are experiencing that said future. Not all of it, but many things. Where do we stand 50 years from now? I think science fiction is a part of disclosure. Over time, science fiction has become science fact.
Ignition sequence start.
Of course, science fiction's role in pre-envisioning what would ultimately become the world's science fact was nothing new. Space stations, intelligent robots, extraordinary communication devices, even Star Wars-type space weapons were all pre-envisioned in the creative minds of authors like Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, and Ray Bradbury. And their works later formed the basis for countless films and television series.
Great innovation has come from science fiction literature. Arthur C. Clarke imagined the satellite before the engineers. They were reading science fiction when they came up with the idea to do that. This has happened repeatedly where a creative artist will come up with a new idea just to tell a story, but it's coming from the unconscious.
I mean, look at Jules Verne. Go back and read Jules Verne. It's really interesting. Like a lot of the stuff we made, like he just thought it up.
And these ideas sprung out of a man's mind, and it has become reality. And I think that they've turned to reality because of young kids reading these stories and eventually growing up and realizing, wait a second, we have all these technological capabilities. What if I can bring it to the next level with a new invention? So science fiction can serve as a direct path to science that has been inspired by fantasy.
But are many of today's scientific wonders merely the product of fertile minds and wild imaginations? Or do they have their origins elsewhere, possibly light years away?
There's an interesting theory, the idea that certain profound science fiction writers may not have just simply come up with the ideas for their stories on their own, albeit they may have thought they came up with the ideas on their own. Perhaps there was an outside force presenting it to them. Have science fiction authors and writers been inspired by extraterrestrials?